It's interesting how beliefs sometimes become so deeply ingrained that they start to feel like truth, don't they? You can spend so much time focusing on what you believe to be true that you may forget to notice the beliefs themselves. They're like lenses that you look through. And lenses, as you may already know, can always be changed. So imagine looking through a dirty lens. It may distort the way you see everything. Now imagine cleaning it, or even replacing it with a clearer one. Suddenly, everything you see could shift, without you having to change the world around you at all. And isn't it fascinating? You can change the way you see everything, just by adjusting the lens. Now consider for a moment the idea of "I'm a loser." Isn't it curious how one word can carry such weight, can dominate your experience of yourself and your life, as if you're always defined by that one label? And yet, how often do labels change, evolve or fade? What if the one word loser wasn't the absolute truth, but merely one perspective, one chapter in a larger story that's still unfolding? So imagine just for a moment that you have the ability to choose a new chapter, a new perspective, a new way of seeing yourself. And now the idea of being broke. Have you noticed how the idea of being broke can almost make you feel like your entire future is already written, like somehow all your opportunities have been closed off? But isn't it interesting how temporary states, like being broke, they can shift in an instant? One decision, one thought, one moment of inspired action can shift you from feeling stuck to feeling empowered. Imagine the power of that, because you're not defined by any one moment, are you? Every new moment offers a new choice. Every new moment offers a possibility. Now let's explore the idea of being poor. Imagine for a moment that poverty is more than just about money. It's a state of mind, a belief in scarcity. But isn't it true? There are abundant things everywhere you look. Opportunities, ideas, people, possibilities. It's like you've been focusing on the scarcity so intently that you've forgotten how much there truly is to draw from, to choose from. Can you feel how that perspective could change everything? How by shifting from a focus of lack to a focus of abundance, your world might begin to feel different, just a little at first, and then more and more, until your reality starts to reflect that change. And consider this thought: I'm worthless. What if worth isn't something you earn, but something you realize you've always had? Something like the way a seed already contains everything that it needs to grow, but might need time, nourishment, and the right environment to unfold. What if you too already contain everything that you need to realize your worth? And the process of uncovering that is happening right now. What if this feeling of worthlessness was never permanent, but only temporary? Just like any emotion, any belief, or any phase of life. And then, the phrase, "I've wasted my life." Isn't it intriguing how we can sometimes get so caught up in judging past decisions that we forget to notice how much wisdom, strength, and insight that we've gained from every single experience? Every moment, no matter how seemingly wasted, can provide something valuable. So think about it. What if every mistake, every challenge, was simply a step in a larger unfolding journey that was leading you towards something meaningful? And now, as you reflect on that, doesn't it become clear that perhaps there's no such thing as wasted time, only time used to gather information, lessons and experiences that will serve you, perhaps even in ways you don't yet fully understand. Now let's consider the belief: I'll never accomplish anything meaningful. Isn't it curious how we sometimes think we know what's possible for ourselves, as if we can predict the future? But if you think about it for a moment, the future, it's always open, always unknown. What you think is impossible today may not only be possible tomorrow, may also be closer than you imagine. So perhaps you've been standing at the edge of your own greatness for longer than you realize. Maybe, just maybe, what feels like a distant dream is only one step away, one decision, one action, one shift in perspective? What if the possibility of accomplishment is more immediate than you ever allowed yourself to believe? And now the idea that you're unworthy of love, acceptance, admiration, or connection. Isn't it amazing how love, connection, and admiration, they all exist in abundance, not as something to be earned, but as something to be recognized? What if love isn't something you have to prove you deserve, but simply something you open yourself to, by allowing yourself to be exactly who you are? Could it be all of these things, love, admiration, connection, they're already here, and the only thing separating you from them is simply a shift in perspective, a moment of allowing yourself to be with them? What if you've always been worthy of them? What if they've always been available to you, just waiting for you to recognize it? Now let's pause here and consider something. These beliefs that you've held for so long, what if they're like the old coat that you've been wearing, and you no longer need it? What if it was never yours to begin with? What if you were simply borrowing someone else's jacket, and now you're ready to let it go, and step into something that fits better, something more comfortable, something that makes you feel more like yourself? After all, the world is full of possibilities, and your ability to shape your experiences is far greater than you ever imagined. Every moment is a fresh start, every thought a new possibility. You might notice every time you decide to look at things differently, everything begins to change in response, and soon enough the person you thought you were becomes someone even more powerful than you could have possibly imagined. Because after all, you're not limited by anything except what you choose to believe. And those beliefs too can change, just as easily as a lens can be cleared. It's fascinating, isn't it, how sometimes, in the quiet moments of our lives, we hold on to ideas about ourselves that seem so fixed, so unchangeable. And yet, you know as well as I do, when you truly take a deep breath and pause, something miraculous can happen, something subtle yet profound. It's almost as if in the pause, everything becomes a little clearer, almost like a shift in the air, when you realize what you thought was unchangeable could change. And isn't that the nature of reality itself? So much of what you think is permanent is in fact fluid, shifting, moving, evolving, just like you. Imagine just for a moment that the label loser that you've worn like a tight, heavy coat for so long was never truly yours. What if you could slip that coat off with just the gentlest movement and realize underneath you're not just not a loser, but someone who's capable, powerful, evolving, and constantly growing? You might have forgotten just for a while how much potential you have, how much of that untapped energy, creativity, and resourcefulness is already inside you. Can you feel that? The possibility that you've been far more than you ever knew. What if, as you begin to uncover that, everything you believed about being a loser simply fades, like fog lifting in the morning light, making way for something new, something true? What if I told you that being broke is not a permanent state, but simply a temporary experience? Imagine for a moment being broke. It isn't who you are, but just a moment in time, a moment that doesn't have to define you. What if this moment of financial struggle was merely the seed for something far greater? Isn't it true that seeds need time, care, and sometimes a little patience before they grow into something magnificent? What if in your moments of challenge there was already a greater force at work, setting the stage for your personal transformation, one that would soon lead to financial abundance, opportunities and possibilities far beyond what you can imagine? And with that thought, notice how something within you may begin to expand. Feel how you're not confined by this temporary state, but already shifting towards something more powerful, something lasting. And speaking of poverty, it's almost like a misinterpretation of reality, isn't it? When you're focused on the idea of lack, the world can seem like a limited space. But the truth is, The universe itself is abundant. The very air you breathe, the vastness of the sky, the infinite possibilities of thoughts and opportunities. They're all around you, waiting for you to notice them. You could almost say abundance is your birthright. Imagine just for a moment stepping into that abundance, allowing it to flow through you, just like a river carving its path through a canyon, shaping everything that it touches. The idea of being poor fades away when you begin to realize how much there truly is. And just as easy as a stone in a river is smoothed by the current, your belief in scarcity begins to soften, replaced by the smooth, unwavering flow of abundance. And now I'm worthless. Such a heavy weight for such a simple thought, isn't it? But what if that thought wasn't a truth, but just an old, unexamined pattern that once made sense but no longer fits? Imagine the feeling of worthlessness simply being like a cloud that passes across the sky, brief, temporary, and never truly defining the vastness of the space around it. What if in truth, worth is not something you need to earn, but something that's always been there, just waiting for you to recognize it? Could it be that worthlessness, it's as natural as breathing, and all you need to do is open yourself up to it? What if every thought, every word, every action that you take is already a reflection of your inherent value, never to be questioned, never to be doubted, but simply known, felt, and experienced deeply? Worthiness is not something you need to prove, because it's already a part of you, just as natural as the earth holds the sky. And now consider this thought: I've wasted my life. Isn't it fascinating how easy it can be to look back and think somehow time has slipped away, as if you're running out of chances? But let's look at this more closely. Every step, every moment, every decision that you've made along the way, it shaped you into the person you are right now. Think of it like a sculptor shaping a piece of clay. Every touch, every decision, every challenge, it's all part of the masterpiece you're becoming. In fact, there's no such thing as wasted time, only moments of learning, moments of growth, moments of expanding your awareness. What if every single experience you've had, no matter how small, no matter how challenging, it's been a stepping stone leading you to the very place you're meant to be? And now, in this very moment, the path forward opens wide, with new choices, new opportunities, new horizons. The past, it's simply a guide, not a cage. It shaped you, but it doesn't limit you. I'll never accomplish anything meaningful. Isn't it incredible how the future seems so uncertain when we're looking through the lens of fear and doubt? But the truth is, you've already accomplished so much. Every day you're creating meaning, even in ways you may not fully understand. Imagine for a moment that accomplishments, they're not just big, grand events. They're every small step forward, every action, every new idea that moves you closer to your goals. And what if, instead of thinking about accomplishments as final destinations, you thought about them as moments of alignment, where your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions all line up, effortlessly creating the life you desire? Each small, intentional step brings you closer to something more meaningful than you could ever have imagined. Can you feel how each day, each decision, brings you a little closer to that vision of who you're meant to be? And now I'm unworthy of love, acceptance, admiration, or connection. What if love, connection, admiration, and acceptance, they're not things you need to earn, but they're simply the natural state of being when you allow yourself to be fully, completely you? What if, instead of searching for these things outside yourself, you simply allowed them to flow towards you from every direction? You see, love is not something that's given conditionally. It's something that flows freely, like sunlight reaching down to the earth, warming and nurturing everything that it touches. The more you allow yourself to receive love, just as you are, the more it multiplies, fills the space around you, and draws others towards you. in ways you could never predict. And as you open to that, notice how you become a magnet for connection, for acceptance, for admiration. Could it be that your worth is already reflected in the world around you? And the only thing left to do is to see it, to allow it, to feel it, because you're worthy simply by being you. Now, with all of this in mind, notice how the very nature of these beliefs begins to shift. Feel the weight of them lift, and in their place a new sense of freedom, of possibility, of choice. Imagine now you can stand in the centre of your own life and realise that nothing, not one thing, limits you. The very beliefs that once held you back, they're now dissolving, replaced with the truth that you're capable, worthy and free to create the life that you choose. And as you begin to see it, the world begins to reflect it back to you in ways you never thought were possible. With every new thought, every new action, you'll notice how you're stepping more and more into the person you've always been meant to be, powerful, radiant, and completely deserving of all of the love, abundance, and success that the world has to offer. And that's just the beginning, because now you're free to choose, to create, and to live the life that you've always been waiting for.